Priscilla. I'm so glad that you're joining me today. It's going to be a great episode of The Chat. This is the place where we come and we just hang out together, talk about things that are important. And today I've got a couple of folks that are important, not only because they are known by lots of people, they minister to a lot of different people, but because of their private lives, the integrity that they hold in their private lives as husband, wife team that are serving the body of Christ and doing it well. We're going to talk to them about marriage. We're talking about your marriage, why marriage is such a beautiful thing, and how God can even take your messes and make a miracle out of them in your marriage. It's going to be a great show, so stay tuned.
What do you think about when you look at me? I know we're not the fairy tale you dreamed we'd be. You wore the veil, you walked the aisle, you took my hand, and we dove into a mystery. How I wish we could go back to simpler times, before all our scars and all our secrets were in the light. And now on this hallowed ground we've drawn the battle lines, and will we make it through the night? It's gonna take much more than promises this time. Only God could change our minds. Maybe you and I were never meant to be complete, but could we just be broken together? If you can bring your shattered dreams and I'll bring mine, could healing still be spoken and save us? The only way we'll last forever is broken together. How it must have been so lonely by my side. We were building kingdoms and chasing dreams and left love behind. I'm praying God will help our broken hearts align, and we won't give up the fight. It's gonna take much more than promises this time. Only God could change our minds. Maybe you and I were never meant to be complete, but could we just be broken together? If you can bring your shattered dreams and I'll bring mine, could healing still be spoken and save us? The only way we'll last forever. Maybe you and I were never meant to be complete, but could we just be broken together? If you can bring your shattered dreams and I'll bring mine, could healing still be spoken and save us? The only way we'll last forever is broken together.
I think that song is beautiful. I mean, it is not only beautifully written and crafted, but beautifully sung. And it's sung by an incredible guy who has an incredible wife. They make up an incredible team that has been a gift to a whole lot of people. Would you please help me to welcome today Mark and Melanie Hall? Well, that's a good song, man.
Thank you.
Every word was, you wrote those words, right? And tell me where it came from. What made you want to write about being broken, but together instead of broken apart?
Well, I think there's a lot that comes with marriage. There's the fairy tale that we all have. There's the idea of how perfect it's going to be, all the problems that we're not going to have, all the mistakes we're not going to make, all the cycles we're going to break. I'm writing a song right now. Anybody got a pen? But it'd be a country song though. No, I'm just kidding. But so there's all these expectations that go into it, and there's so much preparation into the first day, that wedding day, but there's often not a lot of preparation for the second day. And then you get in there and you start realizing, oh, maybe I didn't know everything about this person. And you start seeing little things, and all all of our ideas of what this was supposed to be starts being compared with what's real. And then she starts realizing he is a slob, you know, and I start realizing nothing. You were perfect. But you get in and you realize there's a lot of brokenness in our past that doesn't go away. And when those problems happen and mistakes happen, and we just had some friends going through really hard times, really hard times, and didn't see that they were going to make it through even when this song was being written. And I remember talking to a friend in the car and us talking about the truth that at some point you're going to have to lay down what you thought was going to be.
Those expectations are a killer, aren't they?
And we got to see this is what is.
Yeah.
This is who we are now. Healing can happen, but it's going to have to happen from here. We can't go back to there, you know. I can't grow the mullet back. I can't get all cool and.
Do you want the mullet back, Melanie? Okay.
No, I'm good.
It was pretty awesome.
It was awesome.
But we can't go back to that. We got to go from here.
Yeah.
And that's a lot. What people are wanting is they want the fairy tale again. But the problem with the fairy tale is that it's a fairy tale.
Yeah.
So that the more you're actually getting to know each other more, and that can be a tough go. It can be a tough process.
But I'm thinking about the woman or man that's watching, and they're thinking, it is so broken. My marriage is so broken. There has been infidelity on either side, or we just can't trust each other for, someone has been irresponsible with finances or whatever, is so broken. I cannot imagine that we could be broken, because your song is so beautiful, because it's not that you are displacing the fact that there is brokenness that can happen in a relationship. You're saying that you don't have to be broken apart, but that breaking can in some way be used to fuse you together. But there's somebody that's thinking, I can't even imagine that this brokenness could bring us closer together.
Yeah.
How do you encourage somebody that's in that situation?
One thing would be we need to tell our stories more to people. We need to tear some of the plastic off when we are there on Sunday and say, you're not going to believe what God's brought us through this last year. Because we're not transparent, people who are hurting think they're the only ones who are.
That's right.
They feel isolated.
We're all a mess. And it's like a church that says this, I'm leaving this church because it's so messy. Like, good luck with that.
Yeah, and wherever you go, as soon as you get there, it will now be messy.
Yeah, have you read the New Testament? It was a wreck. All of them were a wreck. You know? As soon as people show up, it gets messy, and marriage is that. And I think the more we can share what God's brought us through, show your scars, tell your stories, and it creates a place for people to be able to talk and to share. People are all alone with their struggles, and the one person they thought they could go to, they can't. So now they don't have anybody else to go to, because they go to their women's group or their men's group, and everybody's all awesome for Jesus. And we're really not. We're broken with Jesus, and it's got to start there.
Melanie, what are you finding as you think about the women that you're watching in the local church or watching kind of out there? that are giving up on their marriages. What are you finding are some of the main reasons why women are throwing in the towel and just not hanging in there?
I think that they feel no hope. I think that they do not see and trust that God can bring beauty from the ashes. And I think that they lose sight of that hope. And I think they give in to what they see, and they give in to their friend down the street that did the same thing, and they couldn't do it, so we surely can't work through it. And so I think oftentimes it's that, this thing that he did is so much, is so bad that there's no healing from this. But I think that what has to happen is we have to realize that we're all broken. We're all, just as Mark was saying, that we're all sinners. How does Christ see each of us? That we're not perfect. And I think when we realize that this, man's infidelity, not to excuse it by any means, but this man's infidelity, could she have played a role in that happening somewhere along the way? Is there something that needs to change and alter, and in that, rather than saying, well, what he did was so much worse than what I did, or how I am, or this attitude of arrogance or pride that I carry around is not near as bad as this infidelity that he had, when in truth, God sees my pride and arrogance just as badly as he does infidelity in marriage.
And the consequences of the actions might be different.
The consequences,
but God's
may be
view of
different.
them.
So I think it's one, believing in the hope that God offers out, that he can bring beauty from ashes, that he can bring healing. He is the healer. And trusting in that, in those situations where the marriage is so bad. I've been through this with several friends that husbands had been unfaithful, and walked them through it, and just asked them, is this what you want to? Are you going to commit to the covenant that you made with God? And when they said yes, just walked with them through the truth of what does God say about your marriage, and what does God say about this? Because you can forgive if you choose to do that and walk forward. But it does require me putting aside my feelings and humbling myself, and being committed to the covenant that we've made.
Can
with
you
God.
give us an illustration from your marriage of something where you had to humble yourself to get past this hump in your marriage? You couldn't both be the winner of this battle. Somebody had to give way in order for your marriage to thrive. You got an illustration for us? Surely you do. 23 years. You got an
Which
illustration.
one?
I humble myself
Come on,
so
pick one.
much. I'm so humble. I'm really kind of proud of how humble I am.
You should write a song about that.
Yeah, no, I say that to my teenagers. Like, on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate your humility? Like, well, I'm about an 8. That makes you a 2. Congratulations. But I think for me, I can just tell you what she's had to get over. I moved out of the house. Okay, in 1 week.
Okay.
I was 20 years old. I moved out of the house, started Bible college, surrendered to ministry, and got married in 1 week.
And move to a new state.
Away
From everybody we
that's
know.
a lot of
away
transition
from
right
everyone
there.
we know. Yeah. So she had to pretty much finish raising me. so I mean, I was just used to everybody doing everything for me. Mom, can you make me a sandwich?
Ooh,
okay,
Melanie.
thanks. That kind of thing. So
That's a good woman you got right there.
yes, it is. Yes, she is. But so that was a big one for her, is just getting over me growing up. Had to be the first monster hump for you to get over.
I got no comment for that.
Well, what about you, Melanie? What do you think he's had to kind of get over and look past?
I think most people that know me would, if you ask them to describe to you, what I'm like, they would say, oh, she's organized and administrative, and she's gifted in that, and she has to plan a lot. And so I think most people would probably include that in their description of me. But I'll tell you that even though that might sum up, in essence, a part of who I am, it also gives me entitlement to be prideful. And because oftentimes that, I'll say gift or talent, or however you want to call that, tends to make other people, it makes you feel like you're better than other people that aren't so organized, and they don't plan so well, and they're messy, and they're not neat, and they don't plan ahead, and they don't know what we're doing next month on the 20th. And So I think that was a huge thing for me, that God brought me over that hurdle of recognizing my own arrogance and saying, you're just different. Don't lift yourself up. You know, like Paul talks about in 1 Corinthians about the body has many parts, and the eye can't tell the ear that it's more important than the other. You know, that to say that I'm gifted in one way and recognize the gifts that he had, that was a huge hurdle for me to jump over. But I'm so glad that I did, because now I can embrace and enjoy the gifts that he has and recognize where my gifts fit with his and how God can use that together to accomplish his purposes.
You were talking about something right there, because that I would venture to say is true for most of us, is that if we're good in one area and our husband is not great in that area, we would just tend to think, well, if you just were great in that area, then our marriage, our life would be so much easier if you just get it together. And vice versa. I think husbands do the same things with wives. We bring in our ideal skill set of what we want that spouse to be like, and then we're mad when they're not that. And it begins to cause the love and the passion and the intimacy to dissipate.
Change the world for one.
Change the world for one.
Change the world for one.
Orphans don't need stuff. Orphans need families. Join me, Stephen Curtis Chapman, and Show Hope as we help provide orphans with forever families.
So after all of these years, how have you managed to keep that intimacy and friendship in your relationship? Just seeing you two sit here on the couch, and in between tapings, you're laughing together and talking together. You have a full life together, and not even just because of Casting Crowns. You got 4 kids. You know, you got people that you're homeschooling, and you're trying to manage your life around that. How do you keep the fire burning in your relationship with each other?
I think we've been married 23 years and we're still figuring it out. You know, we're not authorities on much of anything, but I tell you, I know that it's kind of like with me and Jesus. I'm a different person when he and I'm in the Word, I'm digging in, and that fellowship is close. I don't need you to appreciate me quite as much when I'm drawing from Him, right? So I can show up to church and just love you, and you walk by me and don't speak, that's fine. He's probably got something on his mind. But if I'm not spending time with God, I'm not drawing from Him, now I need you to appreciate me a little bit more. You need to speak to me when I speak to you. Why don't these people understand all I do around here? And instead of Jesus being the well for me,
That's
people
good.
become it. Well, when I'm not digging in and diving into my faith and drawing from Jesus, I have to draw from her more. I need her to be all the things she's not even created to be. She can't be those things for me. Only Jesus can be those things. So a lot of times I think I'm expecting things from her she wasn't set up to give me.
Never
And
was,
I'm mad
never
at
will
her
be,
because
right?
she
Too,
can't
that's right.
give me those things. And if I would just dive into my walk with Jesus and be full when I get there, you know, you hear a lot of people say that about church. I don't like that church because I don't get fed. Well, eat before you go.
That's great.
Show up full, and then
Yeah.
all you got left to do is just love on the
give.
people that are there.
And worship
Well,
God.
it's the
That's
same way
right.
with me and her. When I'm sort of coasting in my walk with God, she better appreciate all I do around here.
I just want to say that that is a tweetable quote. If you are not getting fed at your church, don't switch churches. Just eat before you get there. You should have your own banquet feast thing going on with God before you're ever at church. I love that so much.
So when I'm full, all I got left to do is pour into her. When I'm not, that's when it gets ugly. And so as much as I need to draw from her, as much as she's made to, you complete me, like the movies, I've got to understand that Jesus
How'd that go? I'm
completes.
sorry, Mark. What was that? How'd that
You
go?
complete me.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Perfect.
thank you. But as much as I want to think that, I've got to understand Jesus completes me, and I
Yeah,
pour into
that's
her.
good.
And just, even though I'm saying that doesn't mean I'm doing it every day.
Right.
I'll be the biggest dork in heaven, I'm telling you. So we're not here being perfect. We're here telling you, though, that we know what's making us not.
That's right.
And we know that when there's a problem, first, it's me and Jesus. Am I spending time with Jesus? Second, am I spending time with her? Because if we're just passing, I can tell.
Yeah.
You know, I can tell by the way she reacts to
Yeah,
things. If
your
I ask, and
countenance and-
how you
yeah.
doing? Fine. You know, that kind of thing. I was like, uh-oh, you
Oh
know.
yeah. When a woman says fine, there is a whole
That's
story
right.
behind
There's a
that
whole
thing.
other level. So, but the thing is,
really
though,
quick to fix it, too.
I will try to go in my own defense and in my flesh. I'll try to nitpick the very thing that just happened that made her react that way. Oh, you're just saying that because I did this, right? And then I'll try to nitpick down into, and we'll just both become lawyers. And
Yeah.
it's the closest I get to almost having a point. Deep in my head, I know, we haven't talked in 2 days.
Yeah. And that's what this is really
That's
all
what this is about.
Yeah.
So time with Jesus matters everywhere in life, and even in my marriage. And then my time with her
Yeah.
matters everywhere. It's not me being awesome. It's just me being around.
It's good.
And I'm not really good at being around.
Yeah.
Especially when you're in ministry. Nobody's
busy.
calling me up to go bang mailboxes. I mean, everybody that calls me is to do something great. Everybody's got something they prayed about, just know I need to be there for.
Yep.
And, oh, Lord told me you need to come over here. It's going to be awesome. And we prayed about this for 8 years. and I'm like,
10,000 people are coming.
well,
yeah.
God didn't send me an email on this yet. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I'm
Yep.
still waiting on it. So learning how to say no is something that I'm
Margin.
still
Oh.
learning to do.
Yeah, aren't we all?
So
But when
it's
you
tough.
say no, you're also saying yes to something else, someone else that is very, very important to you.
Yes.
Yep.
And because I know she's here. This is just a season. This is just today. We'll get through. We'll just have to do it. But those seasons get pretty tough.
They do, and
Yeah.
they get longer and longer the
They
longer
do.
you let them go. Well, I'm glad y'all's marriage is thriving because, I'm not saying it's perfect, but it is thriving. It's healthy on the underside, and that's what this record is all about. Let's see. I want to turn it this way, but that's not the right way. It's this
Boom.
way. Because the roots are all down there underneath the surface. They're thriving. That's what makes our marriages work. It's what makes our churches work. It's what makes us work. On the outside is when we are deep, deep, deep down with Jesus, and we're spending time with him. And so I'm grateful to you guys because you really have helped us a lot today. Listen, this record, Thrive, is going to be out January 28th. So it's out. It's ready for you to go and pick up a copy as soon as you possibly can. They don't know this, but I'm actually stealing this copy. They did not give it to me. I'm just taking it home. And then they have a book by the same name, Thrive. It'll be out February 11th. Run and go get a copy. And when you get a copy, don't just get one. Get two, because you need to pass one on to a friend of yours that needs to know all about what it is to thrive in Jesus. Would you please help me to thank Mark and Melanie Paul?